आई पंचमी माऊ की, बांटा हरियाली जाऊ की. Hums my grandmother, sitting on the parapet of her courtyard overlooking the majestic Tihri mountains covered in lush pine tree forest. She pauses to teach me a Gadwali folk proverb, जब पानी का धारा आग लगदी तो बुझानी की ना. When water catches fire, what will you douse it down with? I was only 12 at the time and perplexed. Is it a proverb or a riddle? I wondered. So confused, I urged her to return to the song. And so she does. Ai Panchami Mau ki. Every summer vacation that follows, the answer to my naive question emerges and details itself out like the wrinkles on her skin and the worry on her forehead. The wise saying I learn is not a riddle, but a reality. Another summer holiday, I tell her about the efforts to find life on Mars, and she asks me, what about preserving the one that is here on Earth? This giant village where her ancestors vowed to offer the first grain of each meal to honor the fertility of the soil, where they invented rituals because the routine wasn't enough to celebrate the abundance of their generous land. So they wrote songs and memorized them through seasons in the melody of birds. Praise for the produce, grace for the given. Praise for the produce, grace for the given. What about the promise they hoped their children would keep to their Mother Earth? The map to return home is full of smog. My grandmother, like the Maasai in Tanzania, the Maori in New Zealand, the Bushmen in Botswana, the unborn children of the city wombs, the unwell adults of the rural heartland, all hang their heads in shame and distrust. They swallow their sayings. They hang the capes of their indigenous knowledge. They laugh to forget their sadness. They stare longer in order to avoid this itch this wind causes in their eyes. Even though they don't know each other's names and probably will never see each other's face, they stand united in their concern and care. Their piercing gaze awaits an answer. In a collective voice, their minds echo to ask, what if? The waves are only carrying on to remind us the exhaustion of the ocean. What if the fishes moan? The overflowing riverbeds are nothing but their distilled tears. What if the tree trunks now look upwards in hope to avoid the trembling fear of their roots that no longer can hold? Against this greed, what survives? Tell me, against this greed, what survives? Because we forget that greed is not a widower, neither is pain. They're always married, hitched in a relationship with someone. So when you turn your face away from a chopped forest, it engulfs those who call it their God. Not all fires exhale smoke. Some mold into shorter breaths, hungry bellies, tasteless stories, displacement, and uncompensated loss. And so now, when I sit down to write my poems, I fear a time when phrases like fresh air, gentle breeze, blue water, dense forest, Tasmanian tiger will be found like empty carcass in the fossil fuels of poetry and prose, dug up by some resilient child of the future, not willing to make peace with this toasted planet we left behind. Nowhere to be seen, yet believed to be true, buried in the stories of our ancestors and the statistics published as headlines about all the species we hacked into extinction. Balance is a beautiful word, they say. A prayer that often skips the lips of political discords, empty treaties, rhythmless chants of policy papers. What do you make of the two hands in power? One that repeatedly stabs and the other folded in perpetual forgiveness. How do you reach the one heart that governs the body they belong to? Maybe you cannot anymore. So instead, I use my fingers to count trees wherever I go, because a young boy once told me and said there are approximately 7.536 billion people on Earth and an estimated 3 trillion trees. That's about 400 trees per person. So I question, well, what if we could name every tree like a person, give each one an identity, bond with each one a little more personally? What would that do, I ask? Help us protect them like our own, he said. I encourage my students now to name every tree they meet. The loss is personal each time one is taken down. Having a name will help unpuzzle their grief. It's a handbook on healing for the sins committed by their own. Because now we live in a graveyard. So don't tell me the best you can do is keep the casket open and water the weeds. As long as that breath navigates through your system, as long as money churns the machinery, you owe a debt to the human guile, to the benign, to the ever-growing kind. So stop pretending to be deaf, stop pretending to be dead, rise up. Not to put band-aids on the bruises, but to pledge to cause no new wounds. Ivan Boland was right in saying, an art is lost when it no longer knows how to teach a sorrow to speak. So take all the art if you have to, and turn into golden dawns all that is dark and bleak. Every planter in a New York apartment, every creeper in a Mumbai balcony, the butterfly that sits momentarily on the tree and then on your palm, the seed that has just learned to cope in the concrete crack on the sidewalk, is a testament to how much our souls crave the color green, and that every small effort is a revolution for what is still possible, not just what could have been. An old woman tells me, all the pain in the world that couldn't be resolved stacked up to form the mountains, and all the pain that could be healed formed the rivers. Both help us survive. When you see a green patch of grass, take off your shoes, walk barefoot. When you find a river, dip your toes in it, drink its water, hold it in your hands. Every once in a while, take a hard look at the goddamn sky. Be grateful and acknowledge that you are here and alive. Last summer, I asked my grandmother, as she caressed the face of a pale papaya leaf, sitting on the parapet of her courtyard, overlooking the soot-covered, shrugged Tihri mountains, as the bitter black smoke of wildfires hunted down her favorite pine trees. What incentive should I talk about in my poem, Grandma, that could excite people for climate change? She smiled and said, that's strange. If the right thing to do is not rewarding enough, then no rewarding thing would ever be right or enough.